Hey everyone, and welcome back to Fine Print. Today we continue the AP Government and Politics review series with Unit 3. If you haven't checked out the Unit 2 episode, be sure to take a look. Unit 3 covers civil rights and civil liberties. We start with civil liberties. Civil liberties are guaranteed liberties, things like freedom of speech, press, religion, protection from unreasonable search, and the right to an attorney. All of that comes from the Bill of Rights. Civil rights are guaranteed protections, meaning freedom from discrimination, prejudice, inequality, and injustice. Early on, Barron v. Baltimore said that the Bill of Rights didn't apply to the states, but that changed with the 14th Amendment through the Equal Protection Clause, the Citizenship Clause, and the Due Process Clause, which together began incorporation. Before we dive into the cases, let's quickly go over the Bill of Rights in a spoken flow. The First Amendment protects freedom of speech, religion, the press, the right to assemble, and the right to petition the government. The Second Amendment guarantees the right to bear arms. The Third Amendment prevents the government from forcing people to house soldiers. The Fourth Amendment protects against unreasonable searches and seizures. The Fifth Amendment ensures due process, protects against self-incrimination and double jeopardy, and covers property rights through eminent domain. The Sixth Amendment guarantees the right to counsel, a speedy and public trial, an impartial jury, and the ability to confront witnesses. The Seventh Amendment covers the right to a jury trial in civil cases. The Eighth Amendment bans cruel and unusual punishment. The Ninth Amendment makes clear that people have rights beyond those listed in the Constitution, and the Tenth Amendment reserves powers not delegated to the federal government, to the states, or to the people. Now, how these amendments actually operate comes from the major cases interpreting them. Starting with the First Amendment, speech includes pure speech and symbolic speech. Schenck v. United States created the clear and present danger test. If speech incites danger, it can be restricted. Symbolic speech, meaning actions or symbols, was protected in Tinker v. Des Moines and Texas v. Johnson. The First Amendment also includes religion, the Establishment Clause and the Free Exercise Clause, with major cases like Engel v. Vitale and Wisconsin v. Yoder. And the First Amendment's freedom of the press is shaped by Neer v. Minnesota, which established no prior restraint, and New York Times v. United States. The Second Amendment gets reinforced in McDonald v. Chicago. The Fourth Amendment's protection from unreasonable search and seizure was strengthened in Mapp v. Ohio, which created the exclusionary rule. The Fifth Amendment's Due Process Clause is supported by Miranda v. Arizona, and the property rights eminent domain side is also part of the Fifth. The Sixth Amendment's right to counsel appears in Gideon v. Wainwright. The Ninth Amendment's protection of unenumerated rights shows up in Griswold v. Connecticut, Planned Parenthood v. Casey, and Roe v. Wade. Beyond the Bill of Rights, the Constitution adds other protections. Article 1, Section 9 gives us the writ of habeas corpus. No bills of attainder, which protect due process, and no ex post facto laws. Article 3, Section 2 guarantees trial by jury, and Article 6 says that there's no religious declaration required to run for office. Gitlow v. New York becomes another key moment in incorporation. Moving into civil rights. Suspect classification refers to groups historically subjected to discrimination. Courts handle these with 3 levels of judicial review. There's strict scrutiny for race, color, ethnicity, religion, and nationality, anything requiring a compelling state interest. Then intermediate scrutiny for gender and sexual orientation, and then rational basis for age, disability, wealth, political party, or criminality. The Civil War amendments begin this process. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery in 1865. The 14th Amendment guaranteed citizenship to freed Black Americans, used due process for incorporation to the states, and used equal protection to prevent discrimination. The 15th Amendment protected the right to vote. Later amendments included the 19th Amendment for women's suffrage in 1920, the 24th Amendment banning poll taxes, and the 26th Amendment giving 18-year-olds the right to vote. The civil rights movement built on these. After the era of black codes and Jim Crow laws, Plessy v. Ferguson in 1896 created the separate but equal doctrine. Brown v. Board of Education in 1954 overturned Plessy and ordered schools desegregated. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibited employment and public discrimination. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 banned literacy tests, grandfather clauses, and white primaries. Women's rights expanded with the 19th Amendment, the debates between traditional women and feminists, the Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1972, and the Equal Rights Amendment, which was defeated twice. These movements pushed for no gender discrimination in hiring, firing, salary, promotions, and working conditions. Title IX of the Education Act of 1972 prohibited gender discrimination and federally funded education. In Asian American history, there's the Chinese Exclusion Act and Korematsu v. United States. For LGBTQ rights, Bowers v. Hardwick upheld a Georgia law against same-sex relationships and said it was constitutional, but Lawrence v. Texas overturned that completely. Later, Obergefell v. Hodges ruled that same-sex marriage is constitutional under equal protection and due process. The ADA requires public accommodations and prohibits discrimination in hiring. All of this ties into the broader concept of equality. Equality does not mean sameness, and it does not guarantee equal results. It is about equality of opportunity and unalienable rights. Even today, women face wage discrimination. In education, protections come from the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Pregnancy Discrimination Act of 1978, and Title IX again. There's also the ongoing military gender controversy over whether women should be held to the same standards as men. Essentially, equity versus equality. Sexual harassment is forbidden under the Civil Rights Act, retaliation is prohibited, and it still happens, especially in male-dominated fields like the military. With the aging population, there's limited protection for age discrimination under the law, but more older adults are also attending college. And finally, affirmative action is a set of policies designed to improve access to opportunities for historically underrepresented groups, things like quotas or special hiring considerations for women and people of color specifically. And that's it for Unit 3 of AP Gov and Politics. Stay tuned for Unit 4, and until then, keep reading between the lines.